Tonight on Chris 6 News, progress is being made towards peace between Hamas and Israel as talks between the two enter their third day, with each one seeking in the deal. Plus, we're now entering day 8 of the government shutdown, with both sides not budging on their demands. We hear from each side as they continue to blame the other for the shutdown. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. Corpus Christi police are investigating an assault involving a machete. It happened just after 2 p.m. at South Alameda near Hancock Avenue. Police say a man in his mid-50s was found struck in the head by a machete. Police say the suspect ran from the scene. The victim was taken to the hospital to be checked out. Still no word on what led up to the alleged attack. And the FAA has begun its investigation into yesterday's fatal crash near Skidmore. As we reported Tuesday, the pilot was the only person killed when a single-engine plane crashed. Federal crash investigators arrived at the scene of the crash earlier today. The plane went down just before 1 p.m. near Highway 181. The crash site is located just north of Skidmore. We still don't know the name of the pilot or where the plane took off from. Well, criminal charges have been filed against the interim Taft City Secretary accused of withholding public records. Jessica Lorena Gonzalez is charged with failure or refusal of a public officer to provide access to or copying of public information. That's a violation of the Texas Public Information Act. She's scheduled to appear in San Patricio County Court at Law on October 14th. The charges were brought by the county attorney's office. Well, Nueces County commissioners are moving forward with eliminating the Justice of the Peace Precinct 1 Place 2 office. County Commissioner Mike Pusley says the motion comes down to budget concerns, caseload data, and efficiency. Caseloads and employees in that office will be transferred to the other JP courts. Dozens of community members spoke out against the move.
Please consider doing a little bit more research.
Abolishing another judge in this county would hurt our county.
This was a rushed job.
I feel that 1 week notice just isn't enough time.
The office is currently overseen by Judge Henry Santana, who handles civil cases, landlord and tenant disputes, traffic cases, and truancy matters. The office officially closed when Judge Santana retires at the end of next year. Well, we've reported on the 10% property tax increase for Rockport residents. Now a city resident is claiming the new rate violates state law on multiple fronts, while the city firmly denies any wrongdoing. According to resident Andrew Kane, the increase is illegal for 4 reasons, including a failure to meet public notice requirements and setting the rate in anticipation of a loan the city hadn't secured. His central allegation involves Senate Bill 1851. The new law says cities that haven't completed state audits can only levy a limited no new revenue tax rate. Rockport's audit from the last fiscal year is not yet complete.
If the city fails to file its audits and financial statements, how do the citizens have any faith in the city's ability to handle the finances of the city and raise our property taxes 68% over the last 4 years?
In response, City Manager Vanessa Schreiner told Chris 6 News applying that new law is misplaced, stating it doesn't take effect until next tax year. She called Kane's other allegations incorrect and mistaken, saying the city posted all required notices and adopted its budget in compliance with state law. She added disagreeing with a matter of policy does not make the action illegal. Well, Israel and Hamas have entered their third day of negotiations in Egypt. Sources say Hamas is looking for guarantees from President Trump that Israel won't return to war if Hamas returns all hostages. The terms of the plan say that 250 life sentence prisoners, violent criminals, are supposed to be released as part of this deal. Hamas is seeking more information on how this proposed deal will be implemented and when it would actually go into effect. And back here in North America, the U.S. and Canada have moved closer to a trade deal after President Trump met with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in the Oval Office yesterday. According to a Canadian minister, yesterday's deal was much more productive than previous talks, with both leaders directing their lead negotiators to quickly work towards deals regarding steel, aluminum, and energy. Well, former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty to federal charges today. He faces charges of making false statements to Congress and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. Comey could face a maximum of 5 years in prison if convicted. His trial is set for January 5th. Now, the federal government shutdown is now in day 8, and both sides in the Senate continue to be far apart on a deal. Around the country, the shutdown is starting to take a more visible effect, with mass delays in airports and even some mid-sized commercial airports having to go hours with no air traffic control workers, along with the IRS furloughing 46% of their staff. However, in Washington, both sides are continuing to put the blame of the shutdown on each other.
3-4, long weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, long weekend. Another break, another break, another break, and now they're saying another break. Get back to work.
The House is done. The ball is now in the Senate's court. It does us no good to be here dithering on show votes. We did it. We sent the product over. It is clean. It is 24 pages in length. It's the most bare minimum that's necessary to keep the lights on for the people.
Well, Mike Johnson would continue on to say that he does believe federal workers should receive back pay once the shutdown is over. Well, now it's been fairly sunny with just a few clouds in the sky today. And now, is there any chance of some rain that we need? We bring in meteorologist Stephanie Lauber. Stephanie, tell us.
You know, there is some rain around the coastal bend. It's just likely not happening in most folks who are watching in your neighborhood. Sorry, unless you're in Beat County, you're kind of missing up on the rain. So let's show you where we still have a few little speckles of hope on the radar. This is down in Duval County, just to the west of Relitos. We're seeing one quick little downpour. Can't really call it a sprinkle because along 16, that would be coming down pretty good for about 3 whole minutes of your drive. But let's show you where there's a little bit more rain up in Beat County along the Goliad-Beat County line. So this is right outside of town, but there are some showers that are still happening. Let's give you a wider view. There's been a line of showers moving toward the coastal bend, most of it fizzling out before it gets here, and it's tied to this very interesting feature on the map. I'll tell you what this cold front might be doing next.
Stephanie, thank you. Get ready for takeoff tomorrow. The first nonstop flight takes off from CCIA to Denver. Frontier Airlines' new service begins at 5:30 p.m. with the arrival of the first flight from Denver International Airport. The first flight from here to Denver will take off at 6:45 p.m. and Frontier's nonstop flights to Denver will be available twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. Well, construction begins a week from today on the city's very first Crumbl cookie location. The cookie bakery shop will be at the Shops at La Palmera between European Wax Center and the DXL clothing store. Construction is set to wrap up by January, and Crumbl Cookie is known for unique creations like Brookie Cookie, the Raspberry Butter Cake Cookie, and the Churro Cookie. They also have rotating flavors every single week. Well, the old Walgreens pharmacy at Airline and McCardle will be replaced by a new gas station, according to an online state database. 7-Eleven is behind that project. Demolition of the old pharmacy will begin later this month. Construction of the new filling station should be done by March of next year.
Help is on the way to tackle the opioid crisis right here at home. I'm Michaela Chavez, showing you how 3 Nueces County organizations will be on the front line of that fight, thanks to a state grant.
You're watching KRIS 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Texas just awarded $21 million to fight the opioid crisis statewide. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter at Amistad Clinic, one of the 3 local groups who are getting a share of that. Now, this funding focuses on prevention and treatment, reaching more people than addiction can. Texas's acting comptroller, who chairs the Texas Opioid Abatement Fund Council, announced $21 million would go to help fight the state's opioid crisis. Nearly every state, including Texas, claimed drug companies were downplaying how addictive their painkillers really were, which many believe started the nation's opioid crisis.
Well, I know it's been around for a long time, and it's getting worse.
Amistad Health, where Yvette Wigington works as a licensed professional counselor, is one of the Nueces County agencies receiving the grant. The other 2 are the Senecor Foundation and the Coastal Bend Wellness Foundation.
Do you think that this is maybe something that is a long time coming?
Yes.
Wigginton tells Chris 6 News her agency is getting $25,000 to help with treatment. Also to help with treatment, the grant gives the Synacor Foundation $195,000. And as for the Coastal Bend Wellness Foundation, the grant also gives $195,000 for prevention and public safety. Wigginton tells me the funds will support her agency's Medicaid Assisted Therapy program, which helps the uninsured or underinsured.
We kind of look at the whole person rather than just the substance use, because the substance abuse is how they're handling the problem. It's not the problem.
The grant money covers costs for providers, behavioral health support, and essential medications.
So far, we've had some success. Some people fall off, go, relapse or whatever, but they're always welcome back.
Wigginton says efforts to help others hit close to home as she continues her own long-term road recovery. While opioids were not her challenge, she says she believes support can help others, just like it's helped her.
Although it's not the only way to get sober, for me, I think it's the easiest. I've been sober 37 years. I can't forget where I came from.
Now, these grants come from state opioid settlement funds, and they're meant to repair the damage caused by the opioid addiction epidemic I mentioned earlier. With your neighborhood news on the West Side, I'm Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 News.
All right, Michaela, thank you. And if you want to see more news in your neighborhood, check out Chris 6 Plus, streaming on our YouTube channel, bringing you stories straight from your neighborhood 24/7.
All right, well, let's see how that commute home is looking this afternoon, evening. We're kind of in the in-between, right? Here's the view of SPID. We're looking west toward that Crosstown interchange, and it doesn't look like things are too problematic right now. Let me show you how our maps are doing so far. If you're coming down 37, easy ride today, but that intersection is a little bit of stop and go on SPID, so give yourself some extra time. As you head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. Your forecast is next. All right, this is a view we haven't seen in a while, but it's the one with the most action around all of our sky cams, Bird Island. You're not the only one feeling a rumbly into tumblies right now. These birds usually hang out here looking for some dinner, and you know what? They're gonna have a bit of a harder time over the next couple of days because that surf's been a little bit rough. We can blame the full moon earlier this week for that, but also just the wind direction we'll be seeing over the next couple of days could also make for a little bit of a problematic hunt for our feathered friends out there. But I want to show you the bird's eye view. We're looking at clouds. Visible satellite gives us that pretty true to the eye view if we were way up high in space. So notice this defined line right here. That was a batch of storms headed our way out ahead of a cold front that's not coming here tonight. But a lot of the shower activity with this, as you see the clouds diminishing, so did our hope for meaningful rainfall. But at this point, we are still seeing a couple of showers around the area, not a whole lot going on. The last of this has fizzled out over Beeville. Still a couple of sprinkles in Duval County north of Hebbronville, but well off to the west of Concepcion, Benavides, Realitos, not seeing any of that there. But there's still more meandering just to the north of the coastal bend. Can't rule out a few more of those showers kind of trickling into our northern counties, say B, Live Oak counties here as we head through the night. So this is what we've seen so far in Corpus Christi. Notice no rainy icons here. None of that at the airport, unfortunately. So that means our rainfall deficit's going to be looking less than awesome. But it has been a hot and humid afternoon with that east wind keeping the humidity very, very strong this afternoon. And temperatures reflecting that. Just look at the numbers in yellow, just like we normally do in the summer. It's the second summer, or Fool's Fall. Temperatures still pretty hot this evening. And we'll see those numbers slowly work their way down. But it's still going to be an area you can wear start as we head into the overnight early morning hours. One difference you'll notice, it is going to be a little bit windier for the start of the morning. We won't have those completely calm conditions, so maybe the air you can wear will be a little more tolerable, but still, better mornings are ahead, at least those that feel more comfortable. Our humidity is going to take a little bit of a drop as high pressure settles in over the weekend. A cold front wants to come here. It just doesn't seem to have the support upstairs. That's something I'm watching for in the forecast and is really going to be something we watch closely, because if it does come here, not this one, the next one, we could be looking at an even better weekend forecast. But so far, this is as good as it gets. This cold front draped across the I-10 corridor is going to keep churning these showers up near Goliad County, Atascosa County. We could just hope that they kind of help us out here as we head through the evening. But those chances are about done. Can't rule out some early morning showers, especially for the coastal neighborhoods, Corpus Christi, maybe Alice, and then during the afternoon. Again, because we have that front nearby, that'll keep things unsettled and keep the opportunity for the last round of isolated showers in our forecast. But check out the weekend forecast. Not too bad with mornings in the 60s.
Chris 6 News celebrates Hispanic heritage.
Your forecast is next. For weather updates in your neighborhood, we here at Chris 6 and Telemundo Corpus Christi are proud to be a team of bilingual meteorologists to give you those updates in English or in Espanol. But we also work closely with the National Weather Service here in Corpus Christi, and they too have a team of bilingual meteorologists who are using that ability to further the agency's mission.
Here in Texas, the second most spoken language is Spanish, but there are other areas that, those demographics are a little bit different. And the Weather Service has been evolving to be able to serve those communities.
The NWS serves many communities across all 50 states, the territories of Guam and Puerto Rico. Millions of Americans trust in these weather forecast offices to keep them ahead of the storm.
One of the ways we build that trust is by disseminating that information in whatever way is best understood.
Being able to communicate life-saving information in languages other than English isn't just important for the public. American meteorologists also collaborate with meteorologists in other countries.
To basically speak in name of the Hurricane Center with actually foreign entities, which is something that we don't get to do too often in this agency, so that was very useful. Our goal is to protect lives and property.
So how does the NWS translate every alert into multiple languages? Well, it started with volunteers.
Growing up with family that mainly spoke Spanish, you kind of had to learn at a young age to be able to communicate with los abuelos and los abuelas.
In 2023, AI translation helped tackle the workload despite a brief pause in April 2025. Still, our local NWS is unique. 25% of staff are bilingual. NWS Corpus Christi is one of just 13 offices with bilingual staff. So how did we get so lucky?
I'm originally from Quebradillas, Puerto Rico, which is my hometown.
My parents are from Mexico, from Tamaulipas, so we always spoke Spanish at home.
My parents and grandparents are from Cuba, and so all they spoke was Spanish.
Nací y crecí en New Orleans, pero cuando tenía 14 años nos mudamos a España y pasé aproximadamente 2 años allá.
But speaking 2 languages comes with its challenges.
When I first moved into the continental U.S., even though we are part of the United States, in Puerto Rico most of the people speak Spanish, so it was a little difficult.
You grow up kind of not learning the proper Spanish per se. You kind of learn the bilingual Spanish. So going to an office where it's primarily Spanish, it was a challenge, getting used to using official words, and actual proper words instead of, kind of bilingual terminology or whatnot.
I would use something called vosotros, which no one uses here. I'd conjugate things weirdly. I use words like ordenador for computer and things, and people would look at me kind of funny.
But these meteorologists say the learning curve was worth it.
It's so important that everybody understands the risk and that they can prepare for it and take action.
Being Hispanic has always taught me that we are people who always fight for what we believe in, fight for the values, and having to do that in my own little special way and the thing that I'm passionate about the most, there's no words to describe it. It's amazing.
Celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, Stephanie Lauber, Chris 6 News.
Excelente. Long John Silver's is switching their logo to a chicken. We'll share the details behind the surprising change next.
Watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, fast food restaurants Long John Silver's is switching things up with their logo. The restaurant will be going from their iconic fish logo to this, a chicken, along with adding the wording chicken plus seafood to the logo. A Long John Silver's executive says their chicken strips, known as chicken planks, are just as good as their fish, and it's time to let the secret out. The company says the move builds on successful testing of new chicken products at its flagship restaurant in Louisville, but seafood will remain the brand's cornerstone.
If you're angry, I am too.
You've gone to this place.
Yeah, the one we have in town, they just spruced it up. So are they going to do it again? I don't know.
We'll have to see.
I don't like change.
We'll have to look at the logo.
Well, actually, let me backtrack. I do like change. I would like these numbers to change. This situation where we're feeling hot, yeah, I would like a little freshening of the temperature, so to speak, a little taste of fall. It'd be even better if it came with some rain, but that probably isn't in the cards outside of your Thursday forecast. But look at this. More comfortable conditions over the weekend. We're going to keep our eyes on it. This will only improve if it changes, so there's that.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you here at 6 o'clock. Good night.
Bye.